Reversing Climate Change by Kevin Kim. Over the past couple of decades, the Earth's climate has faced drastic change, which has been driven by the activity of the human population of the world. Following the Industrial Revolution, there has been a mass industrialization of the world's areas, as well as advancements in technology. These advancements has caused the exponential growth of climate change around the world, and if action is not taken soon, the Earth will not be the same from what it is now. What is wrong? The increased emission of fossil fuels into the atmosphere following the Industrial Revolution due to many factories being built, vehicles being produced due to our ever-growing population of the world. There has been large amounts of carbon dioxide being emitted into the atmosphere, as well as other greenhouse gases like methane. As these fossil fuels deplete the atmosphere and cause the climate to change, the human's well-being, Earth's environment, and the economy of the world will not be the same and will face havoc. This image displays a pie chart that shows the global greenhouse gas emissions that are emitted by human activities. The leading gas that is emitted by human activities is carbon dioxide in the blue, which takes up to 65%. And that carbon dioxide is emitted through fossil fuels and industrial processes. Mitigating global emissions. Mitigation is known as the process of making something less severe. One of the most effective ways of making climate change and its effects less severe is through the transition of fossil fuels like gas and oils over to renewable resources like solar, wind, and hydro. Solar power can be produced through absorbing solar energy through solar panels either on a rooftop or on an area of land, which can improve air quality and reduce water waste. Wind power can be produced through wind flowing through a wind turbine, turning it, and can convert that into electrical energy, and is beneficial and significant because it does not release carbon emissions. Hydropower can be produced through a dam using the gravity of the water flowing down the dam to produce that electrical energy, which is significant because it does not release the same heat and gases as a traditional plant would. Also, the transition from fossil fuels to renewable resources can open up job opportunities for those looking in hard times following COVID. It will open a lot of job opportunities to either install these solar, wind, hydro plants or maintenance and looking over whether someone needs help to replace something or there's a problem going on. Geoengineering the climate. Geoengineering is known as a large-scale modification of Earth's climate. A study done at the University of Harvard has outlined 3 significant methods of solar geoengineering, such as solar, ocean, and carbon capture. Through solar geoengineering, scientists would release sulfate aerosols into the stratosphere using either planes or hot air balloons, where the sulfate aerosols would no longer pose harm to the Earth and would rather reflect Earth's energy back into space. Ocean geoengineering follows methods such as ocean fertilization, and where scientists would release phytoplankton into aquatic ecosystems and support the phytoplankton so they could make the conversion of carbon over to oxygen through photosynthesis, where surrounding wildlife can use the oxygen that the phytoplankton produces for their own respiratory systems. Carbon capture follows pre-combustion. Pre-combustion is one of the many ways that carbon capture is used, but is the most common. Here, pre-combustion would make the conversion of fuel into a gas mixture of carbon and hydrogen, and then the carbon and hydrogen would be separated into two, where the hydrogen can be incinerated without producing carbon, and then the carbon could be compressed and brought to transport and storage to be sold through consumer goods. investing in developing countries. This is the next step towards a greener Earth. One of the most impactful ways that we can invest in developing countries is by industrialized countries investing up towards $100 billion to developing countries. To put that in perspective, that is around $310 per person in the US, so around 310 times 7 billion. So it will take a collective, not just one power or two, it will take a collective of industrialized countries and countries that are in power to make this change. This money would be used to transition the world's economy to renewable energy, electric vehicles, and electrifying all appliances. Many of these developing countries utilize mainly fossil fuels as their main source of energy because they cannot afford cleaner energy such as solar, wind, and hydro. Taking these steps now will save money and, more importantly, reduce the number of chemicals released into the atmosphere that deter air quality and Earth's climate. Investing in resilient water sources will also be very beneficial to these developing countries and will be one of the main areas that are invested in. A resilient water sources looks like safe drinking water that is reliable and consistent, as well as clean wastewater, which means water that is used through sewage, and water that is dirty is cleaned thoroughly before being released back into the environment to ensure a clean surrounding environment for both humans and the wildlife. In conclusion, if done correctly and at once, Earth's climate change and its effects will be reversed. As Earth's leaders and those in power work together to limit emissions of greenhouse gases, geoengineer the climate, and financially support developing countries to establish green economies, the Earth and its climate will be saved as these measures are taken.